Right, Alice, how are you? Lovely to meet you.
Good, and you? Yeah, lovely to
I'm
meet you
good.
too.
It's Monday. Hey,
Oh, it's
Congratulations.
Monday.
Yeah,
Oh,
congratulations on the film. It's a really fascinating look at the human side of what everybody, I guess, thinks is a glamorous industry, but of course it's not. Why did you just call it
yeah.
couture rather than haute couture, which is, I guess, the phrase that everybody uses for the fashions that we see on the runway in film?
Yeah. Actually, there were different titles. One of them was Ride or Die. And uh
Gosh,
and we chose couture as we chose couture as um it's in French, it has a double meaning, as it
right.
means also it's couture with an S, and it means also stitches. So it has a double meaning, which I thought was interesting because
Yes,
we see like the surgeon drawing on Angelina's breasts, as we see the seamstress drawing lines, on the in the atelier de haute couture. So it
yes.
was, once a surgeon told me that he was doing operations, he had the feeling he was doing haute couture. Of course, it's a different kind of haute couture
Well, yes. Oh,
with blood and flesh.
that's actually really interesting. I'm interested why ride or die? Where did the idea for that obviously now scrapped title come
No,
from?
because I think uh, I mean, it's not the title anymore, but it's just that I think all those women we see, they are in a survival mode, as a lot of people are today. I think they're going through very tough and difficult times in their life. Of course, it's different, but I think, yeah, it was this idea of survival, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. The story as well is partly based on your own experience. And I wondered how you felt about bringing some of your own personal story to the screen, the fact that you'd had breast cancer and opening up yourself to what is essentially an audience of strangers.
Yeah, actually, it's not something I intend to do. I really wrote the film as a process of putting this story. I don't know. I mean, I always work for my intimate and personal feelings. So, you write with your unconscious. I had never figured out that there will be a moment where I had to talk about the movie actually, and to tell what was the origin of it and everything. I had no idea I had to do this. And first of all, it was impossible for me to tell in front of an audience, and I didn't want to tell. And then people were explaining me what a cancer was and everything. It was something like that was impossible. And so I had to tell, and I'm glad I did, as the whole process of the movie was also to help other women or men, because it can also it's also man's thing. But I thought, yes, I needed to do it, and the whole process of the film was to talk about, yes. I think all the character. I think the film is really a self-portrait in a way, as it's all the characters are parts of me, not only Angelina, but also it's it's parts of me at different ages of my life. Woman in her 20s, hesitating between two jobs. As I was in my 20s, I didn't know if I really wanted to go in the cinema world. I felt it was not really for me. I was in between cinema and law. And then woman in her 30s. It was really me when I was beginning to write, and people were telling me how I should write a story, and it was difficult to find my own voice. And then a woman in her 40s learning thing about cancer. So I can really relate to all of them. And to me, it was not a coincidence that the makeup artist is finally the narrator of that story, as because she hides, she hides the wounds. She's the one who knows the most all the wounds of women. And I think you are different persons in your life, like you at different stages of your life. And I think the film evokes all of those women.
Yes, it's interesting you say that because when I was watching it, I felt there was a sort of overlap all the time between each of the characters. They did sort of relate to each other.
Yeah,
When
exactly. And
the fact that they're different aspects of you makes a lot of sense.
yeah, exactly. And also the story with the daughter, and which is actually for Angelina, this scene when she tells her daughter about the illness. For Angelina, it was the love scene of the movie. And she's true in a way, as of course it's a character we never see this daughter, but she's another woman in the film. And yeah, but it's a bit strange to bring to an audience such an intimate film. But I think maybe it's part of the experience of the movie. I'm always like in between the very, very tiny and intimate thing with the very, very big. That was the same with my film Proxima, where I was talking about a mother and daughter relationship. I was really inspired by my own story, but because it was so personal, it has to be set in space with an astronaut, like very far. And here it's the same. It was so intimate. I had to project it in a world I really didn't know anything about, the world of fashion. And also with someone like Angelina, who was like very far.
Was Angelina your first choice? I mean, right from the start when you started writing, did you have her in mind?
Yeah, because you have to understand it, to me was this film was much more than a movie. It was part of my lives. So I needed the commitment of someone who had been through this, even if Angelina never had a cancer, because she underwent this film to prevent from cancer. But her mother and grandmother died from it, and she had this double mastectomy. So she had lived it in her flesh, and I think it's something very different if you've lived it in your flesh. And also she shared a lot, not only the illness we were. I was saying she was very far from me, but it's not true. We were very close, and we had a lot in common. Like she's also a director. And she has also daughters. She went through that moment where she had to tell her children. And also what I really love about Angelina, that in real life she's really a punk. And I think it's also something we share. That
Why do you say that? Why do you describe her like that?
I think she was actually really a punk in her teenage years, but I think
Yeah.
she has stayed a punk. I mean, she's of course in the Hollywood system, but she's doing it her way, you know? She doesn't, she's doing what she wants. She's very free. And I think there's not so many people like this, not only in the cinema world, in the world, like people who follow like their intuitions and who do their own road, you know? And not, who are not listening to, everyone is so, I don't know, like straight and put you in a box. Like she doesn't belong to any box. She has her own box. I don't know. I mean, I could really relate to that feeling, and it was really a strong encounter with her. She really dedicated herself to the movie, and the relationship. It was not only the illness that was the link between the two of us. It was something stronger than that. and um, and it was very beautiful the way she really grateful, and I was impressed how she, it's difficult to show your vulnerability. It's maybe the worst thing, especially in our contemporary world where everyone is hiding. You're supposed to hide your wounds and pretend everything is perfect, and so it's even harder than do like an action scene with the like so many. It's the most difficult thing she did in the movie, to show like your naked soul.
And of course, you filmed extensively in Chanel's Paris showrooms. And I think this was the first time that a feature film has actually been shot there. Was it easy to get permission to do that?
Actually, I never remember if it's easy or not. I think it's maybe like pregnancy, you don't really remember how it was. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it again. But but I've been there from the big. I mean, I knew I needed the reality of a real maison de couture because it's impossible to stage, I think, a maison de couture, and I needed that reality. And I knew I wouldn't have also the money to make it real. And so I went to Chanel to ask them if they wanted to be partner, as I did with like the European Space Agency for Proxima. I asked also for their collaboration because I couldn't like do a Soyuz or a space like a rocket, And it was the same, and they were really helpful. They said that I want first I asked them, is it okay for you if I come to every shows like backstage, and because I really want to have to meet those women to know what is the reality of their lives, and also they accepted to that we would shot in their place. I don't know if you've recognized the iconic staircase that are in the movie. And also they've agreed to design the collection, like the fictional collection of the movie. So it was much more than like just giving money, or as some maison de couture do sometimes in cinema right now. It was really more like a real collaboration, and we it's the real seamstresses of Chanel Haute Couture who plays their own part in the movie. Uh, it's uh, it's real people mixed, of course, with actors, but so was very beautiful and also they've accepted to have no logo in the movie or no brand because, of course, it was fictional, and so it was really. I'm really grateful the way they also dedicated themselves to the project, and it was a very something very beautiful.
I wondered what scene or sequence in the film sticks in your mind as the most difficult one that you had to shoot throughout. I mean, I'm suspecting that one of them is probably that storm sequence towards the end, which must have been incredibly complicated.
Yeah, actually, it was complicated, but at the same time, it was exhilarating because I really love to film the destruction of the sets. It's really something I I really like to do. I don't know if my producers are happy as I am, but I really love. And do you know what is her name? She's an English journalist who is, I've lost her name, but I've invited her for the show because I wanted her to describe it as a real journalist, and I told her I'm so happy that you were there, and she told me, yeah. I told her it was a very good idea for you to come, and she told me, yeah, it was a very good idea to catch a pneumonia. It was very funny. But I lost her name, but she's a really very a kind of icon of fashion journalism. And but the most difficult scene actually to shoot was not that one, but it was the scene with the doctor because it was a kind of reenactment of what I had lived. And it
Yes.
was also a kind of reenactment for Angelina, not of her, because of course she didn't have a cancer, but what her mother and grandmother had experienced. And as they died from the disease, it was a very strong but strange feeling at the same time.
Yeah. Alice, it's been lovely to talk to you. Really appreciate your time, and thanks so much for even more insight into the world of fashion as
Yeah,
well
I'm sorry I lost.
as more
I'm
story.
sorry. I'm sorry I lost the name
Oh,
of the
don't worry,
journalists,
don't
but
worry. But it's been
that's
lovely to talk to
yeah.
you. And
Susie. Her
Susie.
name is Susie Menkes. Susie
Oh,
Menkes.
yes, I know who you mean. Yes, I do. I've certainly come across the name anyway. But thank you very much for your time, and
Yeah.
thank you again for the film.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you. Bye.